What is your hope for not just your career, like what are you trying to achieve, obviously, but secondly to that, as you've described the evolution of the women's game in the professional level that you've been a part of growing and are now stewarding as an assistant coach, what do you hope that actually achieves? What do you see as the future, as a visionary?
My vision for the WNBA is to become the NBA, basically. They have the blueprint, and hopefully I'll be allowed to see that come to fruition. But I do think that women's basketball is great. It's been great. A lot of people don't know the history of our game. They don't know how the old school players played, but it's very similar to the NBA guys. There were really great women's basketball players, but just no one knows about them. And so for me to see the evolution of the WNBA become a really household name, not just as a organization, but as individual teams, that's my big vision for them. And to hopefully be a part of it and be a head coach or GM or even own a team one day in the WNBA. And also, like, just obviously outside the evolution for that is just to incorporate having more women head coaches as the league expands and as we get more teams. I would love for us to get to that because it provides more opportunities for women to coach because for some reason women can't coach men. So we have a very small tunnel for women to coach on the pro level or even in college. And so we have a lot of women competing with each other for a very small amount of opportunities because we hadn't crossed over into coaching men in college or even on the recreation level. Like men have the opportunity to coach on either side. And I just want to make this point because I feel like sometimes men are intimidated of women coming into the NBA or women trying to coach men. And like when I coached in the G League, that was another, I would say, opportunity to build my toughness. Kind of like you.
That's a nice
when
way
you
of
said
wording
you got,
it.
yeah.
Actually, I'm going to make more time for that because I want to ask that. Like, how is it stepping into a field where it's the new age exclusion, right? Where it's you ain't welcome here. You ain't like, this isn't for you, which is ridiculous. I had the privilege of being around when Lindsay Harding came through the 76ers while I was there. She was only there for a brief window because then I think Portland took her on full time.
Sacramento, yeah.
But you could see that she could coach her ass off, partly because she played so long and she was a good player, but she had no fear talking to the players. It was a little startling to them, but she knew what she was talking about. She could get at it. And it was clear that she has the ability, potentially more so than some of the male coaches who were in the building. But I also observed some of the resistance that she experiences. And so I'm curious for you to talk to that. How did you experience that in the G League and potentially with your future career of like, maybe you could coach in the NBA? Why not? How does that, as you said so delicately, it gave you a chance to reveal your toughness? What's the toughest part of that for you?
Well, I think you were like, I was a little bit like you when you say you got into the NBA. You didn't want to mess up. You wanted to show others their respect because this is the highest level. So for me, that was definitely the highest level for me, higher than the WNBA. So I was the same way. I wanted to soak up, like, what am I getting into? And also not mess up, not say anything stupid. And I received a quote before I went to coach in the G League, and it was from a really well-known, very good top NBA head coach. And he told me that I lacked on-court presence. He told me I didn't have the attitude to be able to work in this alpha environment. He told me that there was something else, he said, that I just didn't have a voice, and he just didn't see me as a candidate that could coach in the league. And
man, that turned quick. I thought you were going to tell me some inspirational story about this coach wanting to support me. He's basically ripped you to shreds. Fuck that guy, firstly. But secondly,
he ripped me to pieces.
Wow.
And first of all, I called my mom and my dad, and I sent them what he had texted me. And I had great parents. So they were like, you can do it. And so as a part of my mental toughness, I took it like I took everything as like always being counted out. And so I turned everything into constructive criticism. And then I took what I didn't like and I just said, hey, that's his opinion. And you're right. I'm not an alpha, but my coaching style is my coaching style. And I'm never going to be that. But I knew I could be effective in the NBA and in the G League and with the guys. And so once I got the opportunity, and I was able to give them my knowledge and work with the staff and actually be on the sidelines and be in practice, it all changed. And for me, a lot of people would have quit when they got that pick. It was terrible. I'm not going to say that was something easy to handle and to bounce back from. because I'm already nervous about coaching guys.
Yeah.
And then it was just, and this was like my second opportunity coaching outside of high school. So it was like, if he would have said that and I had coached in the WNBA for 3 or 4 years, or
Yeah,
even if I
like,
had coached
whatever.
in college for 4 years and he told me that, then I would have been like, NBA isn't for me. I probably would have went back to college or the WNBA, but
Yeah.
I hadn't even had an opportunity. So maybe some of that stuff is true. Maybe his perspective was true, but that was my initial outing. That was the first time I had competed coaching at the draft combine and the G League tryouts and G League All-Stars. So that was my first time ever actually on the court. So it was back to being a fish among sharks and whales.
Yeah, absolutely. Big sharks with sharper teeth.
Yeah, big ones. You've been there. Even guys feel that way. If that would have been their first opportunity. So me as a female, it's just guys so just to be able to bounce back from that it's again, like, I just know every experience is building me for where I will eventually end up. And I love coaching the guys. I love coaching in the G League. I would love an opportunity to coach in the NBA, but I'm definitely committed to the WNBA and becoming a head coach. But I definitely enjoy being an assistant in the G League, and I would welcome that opportunity again.
How's the difference, the shift from coaching men to women? Is there much difference, or are they just humans and the buttons are still the same?
The buttons are all still the same. I will say that guys are a little bit easier to challenge because men initially, and I've learned this from women who work corporate, they just feel like they can do it all. Oh, you need me to do that? Yeah, I got it. But they could have no clue. But they would never let you know. Females are the same way across the board. Like, they want to have their I's dotted and their T's crossed before they before they go. Guys don't have any of that, and they'll just off the whim, and just figure it out later. So for me, that was the same thing. I could challenge them with any move. They're going to work on and try to do it.
Yeah.
I feel like female athletes have to be a little bit more confident in their skill set. They're well aware they're not going to go down and do a 360 dunk. Even if guys can't do that, they're going to try halfway do it. They go, you know what I mean? And it's like, I got it next time.